Johnny Wu. I'm the director, producer, and editor of the film The Rapture.
My name is Jim Geyer. I'm one of the executive producers. I helped write the film.
My name is Todd Metzendorf, and at the end of the project, I was one of the executive producers.
I'm Peter Sampson, and I was the director of photography and the second unit director for The Rapture.
Hey, I'm Jeff Yannick. I was one of the producers and also the first assistant director of The Rapture.
My name's Andy Sokol. Well, I am the stunt, wire, and safety coordinator, and my job is to make sure that everything that happens is done safely, so I don't injure any of the actors or animals on the set.
Well, during filming, I was principally hired to be the paramedic on set due to the many wire stunts and other various stunts that the director was planning on doing. He needed to hire a paramedic.
I had just gotten back from grad school. I went to film school at the University of Miami down in Florida for 2 years, and then came back up to Ohio. I really wasn't sure what to do next. I was thinking, maybe I'd follow all my other classmates out to Los Angeles. This was a really exciting opportunity for me and a really different experience. In the past, I had directed a couple of shorts. One of the things that really attracted me to this project as well was that when I first heard Johnny pitch the idea for this sci-fi picture involving wire work, stunt work, a boat scene, a character with wings flying through the air, massive gun battles. This was the kind of movie that in film school they tell you not to attempt, not to try and do, because you need a $100 million Hollywood budget. But what was really cool is I'd seen some of Johnny's work in the past, and seeing that like a Joker's card, I knew that he'd be able to pull this off. So I definitely wanted to get involved with this and definitely see where this was all going to go.
The way I got involved with The Rapture is I worked on some other projects with Johnny. The Chase. Don't worry, it's a little barbecue. The Chase and Joker's card.
The Rapture began, from what I understand, with a vision that Johnny Wu had of a particular scene of a guy with wings and a guy with a tail, sort of angelic, demonic, fighting each other. At the time, he was picturing the guy with the wings had a spear, the guy with the tail used a sword. That got shelved away for a long time, and after Johnny's short film, A Joker's Card, for which I was one of the producers, he decided he wanted to make the film that sort of was working in the back of his head. My specific involvement in it began with a dinner that Johnny and Kyle Zanamak, who plays Jonathan, and I had at, I think, Cafe Tandoor, where he talked about sort of what he wanted for the movie, and eventually Johnny produced the script, the first draft of the script, and the basic storyline all on his own. I mean, he talked about, we had a lot of discussions on it, but basically it originated with him. Once he had the complete script there, after reading it, I offered to help edit it and maybe like naturalize the dialogue, try to inject some humor, worry about plot points, making sure they made sense. And he graciously said that's what he had in mind already. So I ended up doing a lot of rewriting with Johnny, a lot of back and forth. I would add stuff, and Johnny would say, "We have to make it quicker, cut it shorter, pace, flow," and I ended up getting a co-writer credit on it.
As a director of photography working for Mr. Wu, it's important to understand that he likes to shoot with multiple cameras. We had two principal cameras, which were Panasonic HD cameras, and then we had several other cameras that were kind of a mixed bag of what we could get, such as Canon cameras, XL1, XL1S, I can't remember what else we had, but in order to get coverage with all these cameras and have that footage be useful, it kind of gets complicated in lighting. So it was kind of very important to understand Johnny's vision of what he was looking for within how this movie would look, because it was kind of a sci-fi anime type of movie. So we worked along with some excellent grips such as Joe Thompson, Andy Schofield, and also Bill Johns did some directing of photography when we split up in different units.
Having fun is important, but above all, safety. We have to make the illusion that the things we do are dangerous when they're really not. and that means covering all of our bases, making sure that all the fuses are going off the right. No, we're not using any pyro here. But we do a lot of wire work, a lot of fighting, and that requires a lot of setup, a lot of careful preparation, walkthroughs, safety checks, cross checks. Unfortunately, we're not using it anywhere near the pyro I want to use on the show, but maybe next show. It's great. Johnny's really fun to work with. He likes to get his shots, get in, get out, get in, get the job done, and get out. It's really good. Yet he gives me plenty of time to set up the shots, make sure that they're safe, make sure that the actors and the cast and the crew are feeling safe and secure with everything that we do. So if anyone is really unsure about something, uneasy, they have a voice in the situation, we either pull them out or we do some courage building drills so that they become at ease with what we're doing. Stunt-wise, I think the most ambitious one was the first stunt on the Rapture, where we flew all the SWAT guys. That was probably the most complex one of all, because not only did one of the SWAT guys have to go flying, we had to set them up in as plausible a way as possible on a piece of equipment where Tony Brown, who plays one of the SWAT players, he was an amputee from early on as a child, we set it up so that the supposed blast was so forceful that his gun went one way with the arm and he went the other way and it ripped his arm off. Then we had 4 guys, he included flying. Michael, played by Chandler Chapman. Brain fart there. Chandler Chapman was playing Michael. He had to fly at the same time. And then we had the camera guy, actually Jason Hilton, who was on my second unit stunt guy. He was on the wire videotaping all this, and this all had to be done at the same time. We literally had to coordinate on split-second timing some 60 people at one time. That includes the pullers, the stunt players, and the camera crews and support personnel. It was pretty amazing that we pulled it off.
Okay, my name's Tom Lutella. Got involved with Rapture. I've worked with Johnny on 3, 4 other projects. Chase, Joker's Card. There was something else in there somewhere. Supposed to be doing most of the effects, wings, tail, a few things that didn't quite make it. I've been doing this since maybe about 2000, 2001. I got hooked up with Johnny through a friend I went to high school with, actually. So she called up and said, hey, Johnny needs some makeup. It was the first time I met him, and that was for the Chase. And I wasn't really happy with what I did, but he liked it, and I got a phone call about Joker's Card and said, heck yeah, I'm a comic book geek, so I jumped on that one. And this one, during Joker's Card, I had mentioned wanting to do wings, and I think that's where some of the challenge came from on this. I just wish I would have been able to get practical wings. Yeah, the wings, basically, it's a framework of aluminum. We took a back cast of George and made a fiberglass plate. The wings mount to that and are operated by remote control transmitter operating servo and solenoids. So the wings will open and close and the tips fly forward to shoot the feathers through the ball. The problem we ran into was my vacuformer broke and we didn't get any feathers made. This is probably the most effects heavy project, just in terms of sheer size of, we've got all the SWAT guys who are supposed to be armed and armored, the wings, the tail, Mia's metal arm, lots of little things like this, just, the props.
So what's the tail make?
The tail, there's 2 tails. So far we've only used the stunt tail because it's a lightweight foam. And the other one is a cast urethane, and it turned out to be too heavy, just didn't want to risk injury. And in 85, 90 degree heat, 90% humidity, swinging around a 7.5, 8 pound tail is a little bit dangerous. I mean, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, things like that. So
Yeah, the guy that doing flips.
yeah, he's doing flips, he's doing stunts. So the stunt tail is maybe 2 pounds, and it's we could hit somebody all day with it, it won't hurt them.
Okay, my name is Annie Kittrell. I'm playing Dr. G, Dr. Gutierrez. Oh, Dr.
Yeah.
Gutierrez. And got involved when I saw Johnny at the indie gathering and gave him my headshot resume. And he asked if I would, do a little role for him in his project that he's working on. Originally, I thought it was this tiny little role. Later on, I get the script and it's one of the main characters. I go, oh wow! So I was tickled. Dr. Gutierrez, I love her. She's a scientist sorceress from Kiptomic, the planet Kiptomic, in whatever dimension out there. She has been banished from her planet because she wants to create these chimera that don't require food. My background is I lost my sons in my family to starvation. So I want to eradicate world hunger. I want to help humanity. And creating these chimeras that don't require food, is one of my goals. I want to use them for benevolent purposes. Whereas Jack, my financier, he wants to use them for other purposes. Whatever they may be. Yeah, so Johnny keeps telling me I'm the evil one. And I says, I'm not evil. I'm not evil. What are you talking about? I says, I've just been misunderstood.
Yeah. My name is Brandy Seymour, and I am playing the character of Edenarb. She's kind of nasty, sexy. She's a badass, very devious, and she's definitely a bad guy in the movie. How did I get involved with the project? Well, I came to open call auditions. It was an improv audition, and we did. The scene was somebody just got hit by a car. So I played a screaming witness who was freaked out because people kept stepping on the dead body in the middle of the road. And somehow that got me a role.
I'm Tom Fulton. My friend Annie Kittrell, who was playing Dr. Gutierrez, called me and said, "You got to be in this movie. It'll be great. It's a perfect role for you." And it was good for me because it wasn't a whole lot of shooting, and I was able to get the time off to do it. And so I've enjoyed it very much. It's been a lot of fun today.
Yeah, and what character are you playing?
Mr. Big, the man with the iron hand, the chainmail hand.
And what is he like? What is he?
Well, he's a mafia guy who's trying to take over the world, and he's trying to utilize these chimeras to help him wield the power that he needs. He underestimates their power. He thinks he's got it all figured out. He's got some special electrodes in his hands, and he knows that he can capture them with them, but it doesn't work. I don't want to give anything away, but well, it's different for film than it is for theater. In theater, which is what most of my background is, the challenge is developing a set of circumstances, actions that can be repeated night after night after night, as if they were happening for the first time. So that involves a whole kind of art and preparation that is very different from the movies. Again, in a film, I walked on the set today, I met some of the actors for the first time, except for the read-through. I have the lines learned pretty well, and then you go. And, there isn't really a lot of rehearsal, so you're really making it sort of happen in the moment right now. And you hope that you can call on your inspiration and your intuition and all that to make it come to life. I mean, the trick in any kind of acting is trying to find the physical connection to the character so that there's a sense of truth. And if you can accomplish that, then the camera is not going to lie. It's going to see that. If you don't find that physical connection, then you'll see, vacant stares and weird things that happen that you want to try to avoid. This particular movie is a certain genre of science fiction, sort of comic book kind of thing. So everything's a little bit bigger than life. So it isn't quite, a family drama.
The nature of power. It doesn't derive its strength from the power of your arms, or from your tail, or even from your mind. Power derives from the power of the will to drive men to your own purposes. You misunderstood the one truth of the world, so you no longer get to have your own purposes. You merely become a tool. For mine.
As an actor, when you're shooting on film, it's different. My background is theater. Life deposited me quite late in life at the door of the theater, and in the theater you have the whole world of play. You have the beginning, the middle, and the end, the full arc. Whereas in film, it's all according to, you have a camera set up, you're going to use it. It's all chopped up, broken up. And the most challenging part is when they take a moment out of a scene and you have to do it. So it helps. All the theater background has been very helpful because you use your imagination to recreate the events, right, that lead to this moment and are able to capture the moment. But that is the most challenging thing as an actor to okay, close up, and you have to deliver in that instant what takes usually a build-up to get to that point to deliver. That is the most challenging. The final battle scene. That was the most complex, yeah.
What did you have to do there, really?
Well, the union wouldn't let me do any stunts. But I so wanted to fly like Peter Pan. I thought, oh, my moment, they wouldn't let me.
I wanted to fly too.
I know. Well, Andy was kind enough to fly me at the gym a couple of times, so. But just, so many things going on at once, and it was a pretty intense scene with Eve and I. So, and then the final goodbye scene. Yeah, I love that scene. Yeah.
All the more reason.
Think of the great power you have. With our help, you could learn to use it for the benefit of humanity.
Humanity's lasted this long without my help.
So far in The Rapture, I would have to say today, actually, is my most difficult scene, the sister fight. Because of the whole blocking and the room and all this action happening. And we actually shot part of the scene before in another location, and then we're connecting the dots in a new location today for the second half of the scene. So it's a little strange doing it that way.
You serious?
Yeah.
My name is Donna Williams. I got involved on The Rapture by knowing Johnny Woo, the director. Johnny is involved in the independent film club meetings that we have once a month in Cleveland, Ohio. So I go out there to check out the projects and see what other artists are doing. And in speaking with Johnny and becoming friends with them, he had me in mind as one of the characters in his film The Rapture. My character's name is Mia Myros. Mia is a major in E's, I kind of count like the underworld military project that he has. He heads up the Typhoon Project. She is she's a chimera, she is a person, but she has been enhanced by engineers and scientists. She has more special abilities. Like she has a biometallic arm, which if I were to rip this off right now, it would cause havoc and shatter your camera and do all kinds of goofy things. It's great though, no, it's great. She has been just, as a young child, her parents were killed. They were actually assassinated by Jack, who you'll see in the movie. He's one of he's one of the guys that started off, and he's in the asylum now. He had killed Mia's parents, and she had witnessed it. She ended up going to an orphanage where Jack graciously took her, but he did that on purpose to bring her into the project, to turn her into a chimera, to brainwash her, and just experiment on her basically, and make her all military and all very focused and just kind of with blinders on. And that's what Mia's main role is in the military. She's like an assassin. She just does what she's told, and that's all she knows. And throughout the movie, you start to find out on one of her missions she goes to is to seduce another chimera, to get information from him, to lead to where his family is. Because I need to get there and get the mother. Through events, she ends up falling in love with him, which E, her commander, the one that basically owns her, finds out, and there's a big dramatic scene where she has to choose either life or death, and even though she doesn't want to do it, she has to betray her love. Her betrayal, in a way, is his saving grace, though, because she has to let him go in order to save him. The most complex scene, I mean, like one that kind of rattled me.
Yeah, like one that was really intense for you, or just caused
One that was intense for me was the death and dying, kind of like I love you scene with Mia and Job. I was pretty nervous about it. I've never had to cry on camera. I've cried in other little things, but never on camera. And with all these people around and lights, and everyone was very gracious. I asked if there could be a closed set, so it's just a minimal amount of people there. And Joe, who's played by Brian, just did wonderful, very, very giving, very safe for the scene, and it was able to happen. I haven't seen it, not yet, not at this point, but from what I understand, it came off quite lovely. And yeah, that was a little bit rattling for me, a little unnerving, but it was put in a very safe environment for us. It was the most difficult challenge.
In general, yeah.
Saying goodbye to everybody after this project, I think, is going to be one of the most difficult challenges. We have a really great group of people here, both cast and crew. Coming on as cast, there are some actors that have been doing this for longer than I have, more experienced, and very gracious, very giving. Annie Cottrell, they're all wonderful, but Annie, I just love her to death. She would really take her time and sit down, and we'd all get to sit down and read and work on background stories and just work. We worked together. There were no egos. It wasn't, I'm going to steal the scene from you. Everyone worked together. So I think my greatest challenge is going to be to say goodbye to them.
As a crew, I mean, it's very interesting. We did shoot a teaser for The Rapture, which I think did a really good job of trying to see how this ragtag bunch of filmmakers could come together and all work in one direction. And I was really, really impressed by how, when it came time to actually shoot the feature, the majority of the actors really knew what was expected of them. They knew their lines. And I think, in particular, if you go back and look at the movie, you'll see when Mia dies, her dying scene. That was a very rewarding shot, because that is for Donna Williams, who played Mia, it was a very challenging thing for her to do. So she had asked for a closed set, and so we had an entire floor of a warehouse that we'd closed off, and there were only the director, which was myself for second unit. We shot that second unit. We were using a certain amount of lights, and we had a very skeletal crew. And I think she really pulled that off, and the look of how that came across in the film, I think, is a real peak.
Well, yes, actually, I had the pleasure of being the only person that was able and allowed to throw the main director off the set. There was a couple of very hot days that we had, and The one day that we were shooting very long, approximately 16 hours that day, there were several people started getting overheated, including the director, so he got a timeout in essence. I would have to say meeting a lot of the great people that ended up being on the set, either on camera or off camera. How by the end of the production we ended up gelling together and being able to work very smoothly. In fact, we ended up being ahead of schedule when we were in Port Clinton, enough that Johnny ended up giving us a day off before the final shoot. So I think that was I think it was more of a reward that we were able to gel together and actually be a good production team by the end. That's how that came about. And we also filmed the opening scene here at this location. This is a business of mine that two friends of mine and I opened up in August of 2007. It's called Cold Fusion Land Center. It's in Mentor-on-the-Lake, Ohio. It's basically, you could sum it up as the modern arcade. We have all new computers and all the new console gaming systems that kids can come in and play by the hour.
We had to shoot the picture from July 1 through July 14 of 2007, and we could not go any further than July 14th. So it was a really interesting challenge to try and pull this movie off in that short time frame. Now, 14 days for a feature film, not much less a feature film with wire work and stunts, that's really ambitious. So we started talking through how we could break this down and how we could shoot it. One of the interesting things that came up in these discussions was the fact that really to make this work and to be at even close to feasible, we were going to need 2 units to shoot. So we started talking about how we'd separate this, what would go with Unit 1, what would go with Unit 2. Now when I say 2 units, it's a little bit different than the normal conventional 2 units that you see shooting on most pictures, where Unit 1 shoots all the dialogue, all of the main actors, and then Unit 2 is getting inserts or stunt work. This movie was broken up more in a fashion where each unit was shooting with the principal actors, and sometimes on different days. So you'd have, in terms of the breakdown, you'd have character 1 shooting with Unit 1, character 3 and 4 would be with Unit 2. So it was a really interesting and really unique experience, and it worked out fantastic. Peter Sampson was brought in to be our second unit director, did a fantastic job, and we got the picture shot in 13 days, so 1 day ahead of schedule. There were several really memorable moments during the making of The Rapture for me. One moment that really stands out, that was one of those, wow, this is really cool, we're really doing this moments, was the first day of shooting. We were over at the Tome Gymnastics facility, and we were doing one of the scenes involving the SWAT members, and they all had their guns drawn, and we had the character of Job, who was facing off against the SWAT team, and there was a moment when Job sends a energy ball and flings this energy ball over right at all the SWAT members, and in the script they're supposed to all go flying into the air, guns are flying, they're all flying backwards, and it's supposed to be this just major special effects moment in the picture, and stunt moment in the picture. And right before we shot this, we had fogged the room to give it more of an ambiance, and at that point we're ready to go. Johnny had me roll cameras. We rolled the cameras, and then just watching that happen, watching these, I think it was about 6 or 8 SWAT guys, all tethered to wires, being pulled back into this just kind of gigantic smoky mist behind them. It was a really amazing moment. It was a wow, I'm involved with making a stunt action spectacular. This was just, like I said, a wow moment. Would I be willing to go through all of this again? Absolutely, in a second.
Would I do this all over again? Yeah, I would say I would. It was a great experience, getting to meet everybody. It's definitely different seeing how things are done behind the scenes. It's a lot different than when you see the final product up on the big screen when you're watching it in the movie theater. So it was definitely a good experience.
I'm always looking for the next production. I think it's interesting that this particular indie film was just absolutely jam-packed with wire work and with special effects, and we did the majority of this without even any kind of a green screen. So to answer your question, would I do this again? Absolutely.
Would I do it all over again? Oh, definitely. It would be nice to have a budget this time, but or next time. But yeah, as I say, least rest, but the most fun I've had on a vacation.
When I do all over again, I think yes, without a doubt. Will I change the schedule-wise? No, I would do the same way, exactly the same way I did it before. And let's say if I had the same knowledge now that I didn't have before, I would just make it a little bit different, make it a little bit easier. But the schedule, the shoot format, everything will be the same as I used to be done, because I found out that's actually the best way to get things going and without getting anybody hurt.
What do you think you'll miss most once we wrap production?
Oh, everybody and everything. I adore everyone. It's just been the best film set I've ever worked on.